Good afternoon, Natasa Spagadorou. I thank you for being here, and I thank, of course, the team of the Hellenic American Chamber for their invitation for me to come here and moderate the panels. The health world of the Hellenic American Chamber is an institution in the health sector. We are honored and happy to connect with a very important scientist online, Mr. Yorgos Pavlakis, researcher of the Cancer Institute of the USA, with research focusing on viruses and immunotherapies, especially focusing on cancer. He has contributed to the creation of new vaccines and medicines. Welcome, Mr. Pavlakis. Thank you very much for the introduction. I would like to thank the organizers for the opportunity to be among you and I would like to speak about biotechnologies and not the pandemic, the COVID pandemic, but I am open to any topic. We are very happy that you are here. Here we are today after 2 years of pandemic, almost 3 years now. We have seen major changes all over the world. We have seen many changes in the society, in our behaviors, the labor market. How do you believe that the next period will go? Do you worry that we have flu and pandemic and COVID together? Last year, I believed that we would reach normality before the pandemic would end, and this takes place indeed already. But unfortunately, the pandemic is still here, and we are having a problematic winter in front of us because the citizens are not careful anymore. And this is, of course, necessary because otherwise we would be very stressed. At the same time, we see many different types of problems, financial problems, for example, or social ones. As regards your question as regards the future, many scientists expect a new wave of COVID-19 next winter. I'm sure that we'll see a wave of the virus in Greece due to the aged population and the fact that people are not wearing masks anymore. Already we have seen the numbers rising, the COVID cases rising every week. The good news is that it seems that we have only the O5 type in Greece, which can be well dealt with with the new vaccines. But of course, there are new types out there which are coming. As regards flu and other respiratory viruses, they have started expanding already. So I'm afraid to see these two together. Because if the epidemic waves are coexist, are simultaneous, then we'll have more serious implications. So I think that Greece has to avoid what happened last winter, which was the worst in the pandemic. But of course, we need to be very attentive and careful. And my advice would be vaccination and public health measures with the masks in specific areas, concentration areas, which is a simple measure. So you're not so optimistic as I hear, but nevertheless, let me ask you. You have frequently said that COVID was never a flu, a simple flu. So has it changed since the beginning of the pandemic? And has the disease that it causes changed? And since you mentioned the updated vaccines, I would like your opinion, dear professor, because the next jobs are boosting the organism, but I think that many people are afraid. They don't want to go to be vaccinated. They are not very. They do not trust whether their immune system is going to be influenced. We know that the virus changes every 3 or 4 months, and the new types are more aggressive than the previous ones. They are very different than the initial stem and the initial strand. And however, though, the diseases that are caused are not so different. What has changed is us, because now we are vaccinated. And now we have different levels. We have a stronger immune system. Unfortunately, the problem remains that COVID creates problems in many parts of the body. It's neurotoxical, and it's not. It shouldn't be out there. We would have victims continuously then. We don't want our children, our students, to be exposed to these virus again and again every year, because these can lead to further damage. As regards the updated vaccines, I believe that they're going to be very helpful, especially in the beginning of the winter, while we're having the O5. When the new strands are coming, probably PQ1, then in this case, the vaccines may be not so helpful, but nevertheless, they are going to boost our immune response. Nevertheless, let me add that I wouldn't be afraid to get a jab every year. On the contrary, I think that everyone should understand that we have a new virus here, which is worse than the flu, but needs a similar response to update our vaccination every year until we have the annual one, which seems that is still delayed. But what you say is encouraging. You're not afraid of the new jobs. No, no, of course not. The vaccines at hand have been proved very safe in relation to whatever we had until today. So I personally am not afraid to administer one every year. Recently, Tom Vesseler, the developing biologist from Ludwig, has written that that's why we have resurges of the epidemic again and again, every now and then, and rather serious ones. And this is the reason why he says, as a scientist, to endorse to endorse vaccination because otherwise the immune system is not going to be well supported. Of course, you have the index of hospitalizations as well. All the indices are useful. An important problem is resistance to the virus a few months after vaccination. This is a huge problem and a long-term one. That's why we need the extra jobs, because these shots help us boost our immune system. So this way, we hope that will deter the next waves of the virus. Another important problem is that we don't take measures like wearing a mask, because without measures, we cannot block out the major pandemic waves. When we have such waves, we have new viruses along with the COVID. So epidemics run in waves. Okay, what about the treatment medication that we have? Monoclonal antibodies, etc. Are they helpful for those who suffer from the disease, especially the vulnerable groups? Yes, we have progressed a lot in these treatments. We have very efficient treatments, especially for the elderly. If you are in these groups, you need to see your doctor right away on the first day you have a symptom and take medication, especially if you take your medication in the first 5 days. This is going to help. This will be very helpful. Now, the monoclonal antibody aerosol, it's the only one that has been left against Omicron and therapy. We have further medications that are coming. Apart from Paxlovid and Remdesivir. Let me ask you one more thing. Do you have any worries about the coming winter apart from COVID? Do we have any other challenges in the health area? The apes pox is another danger for public health. We have seen some cases in Greece. So what can we do in order to be protected? And maybe do we have a new pandemic under us? The situation that you just described is that we have already entered an era of pandemics. I would like to stress once again that despite the various menaces that are around, the neurotoxic COVID variations make me more afraid than any other virus. This is a new dimension that we didn't have before, because no other virus changes so drastically and so quickly. Polio virus, where we had one case in 200 children, hasn't created so many problems in the society. However, on the other side, coronavirus might be even worse worse than the polio viruses, at least as regards the frequency of neurological implications, as well as thrombosis, and pneumonias, and deaths, of course. But certainly, it's not only COVID. We have more viruses that can create new pandemics, as the one that you mentioned, and also flu. In the next few years, we foresee that it will come back very dynamically. I am a f- I remember that we have treated the pox the same way as we had in with the HIV. So here we are in a new era of pandemics with new pathogens like COVID virus, coronavirus that adapts to the human life very quickly. Uh, I do remember, since you mentioned flu, that 1 year ago I had asked you, when is the next pandemic knocking on our door? And you said in 3 years, and we'll have a flu pandemic. Yes, this is my forecast, unfortunately. We need to take stock of our knowledge and not, in order to be able to deal with all the other pandemics that are coming. Pox virus is here already. It's going to be very problematic if we leave it grow in our society. So, in conclusion, dear professor, can we prepare ourselves for the major uh, public health challenges that are ahead? Can we expect that we shall go back to the life we had before COVID? We need to close the discussion capitalizing on the lessons learned. We have to say that the global society can organize itself efficiently. Technology has progressed a lot and will manage to succeed a lot as long as we do not repeat the mistakes of the past. The pandemic is here. We have to remember this, and we need to strive persistently in order to take care of it. We need a primary care system, a very good health system, and very good medical professional. The scientific progress has given us all the tools to provide solutions for coronavirus and any new pandemics and epidemics. We have vaccines, we have diagnostics, we have drugs. We had these last year as well, but we need to inform the audiences properly. In addition, all other measures have managed to control the numbers of deaths, and the progress is huge since last year. This year, we're not going to allow thousands of deaths. This is going to be a major failure. Other countries have done this since last year. So the main message is get your shot and try to be protected, wear your masks, and especially in indoor spaces. We're going to take your advice and follow what you say. Thank you very much, Professor, for being with us. We were very honored that you were with us here today to share your knowledge. Thank you for inviting me.